One of one. Track and field, swimming, basketball, football, tennis, hockey, car racing, whatever it is. One of one. Jiu-jitsu, all that other crazy shit. One of one. I'm one of one. GNC, you know why we made this happen? The best only want to deal with the best.
To GNC, I really want to say thank you. And to all the employees, all the people that's behind the scenes, thank you. I look forward to working with you guys. Not just 1 year, not just 2 years, but a lifetime.
You know what it is? One on one. We the best by far. GNC.
Sit down, chill out, you know, that's what we do. Let's now go to the 3rd floor. Rooftop. Swimming pool. You can sit down there if you want to. We can have a barbecue, it's whatever you guys want. Nice sitting area, beautiful beach. So now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go sit down with my cameraman and I'm gonna check.
You know, the fight is boring, like, that's not the fans are expecting to us. I mean, as a fighter, if I'm a fan, of course I want to see a good fight, like changing fight, not a passion show.
Manny Pacquiao didn't speak with anger. He spoke with sorrow. He said Floyd Mayweather is not chasing greatness anymore. He's chasing paychecks. According to Manny, every time Floyd walks back into the ring, it isn't to etch history, it's to cash history out. Pacquiao believes a fight with Terence Crawford wouldn't be about competition, but about greed dressed up as boxing. And in Manny's eyes, that strips the fight of its warrior spirit. The ring was once a battlefield, but for Floyd, it now looks more like a runway.
Now, in the beginning of this conversation, you say, I don't like boastful people. How was it like fighting Mayweather then? Did he get on your nerves? Because I feel like he's a little bit more boastful than the people you might be wanting to hang out with.
Yeah, he's boastful. I think his God is the material things, money, everything like that. I'm pity with him because I want to share the word of God in him if he believe God.
Yeah. I've heard he's a generous man. I think he's done good things. I think, you know, he kind of reminds me of like a lot of people are like this, by the way, including myself. I'm not just saying him. I'm including myself. The man who goes up to Jesus and says, what should I do to get into heaven? He says, sell all your belongings. And he walked away crying because he couldn't sell his belongings.
Exactly.
The world froze when the headline dropped. Floyd Mayweather versus Mike Tyson, 2026. But the shock wasn't excitement. It was disbelief. Experts said it clearly. This isn't sport, it's theater. Not to lions at their peak, but to giants of yesterday, selling a spectacle. And behind it, pure revenue. This event is said to be Floyd's warm-up before a potential showdown with Terence Crawford. It's a reminder of what boxing is turning into. Less about legacy, more about money. Still, with Tyson's legend and Mayweather's brand, the world will watch, because no matter how hollow, the spotlight will burn.
Broadcast for Jake and Tyson, and you know, some people like the likes of Carl Froch viewed that as an endorsement. Like, look, man, I'm just working. It's a big opportunity to be on Netflix. I didn't put the fight together. I'm not paying these guys. So, you know, let's chill out. But all right, I'm not going to poo-poo this. I just don't know what CSI is. And the way it was presented made me think that there was like a secondary press release to come, that they'll be involved in like some sort of like virtual boxing thing. Like, it just didn't seem real. You know why it didn't seem real? I'll tell you why. There's no date attached to it. There's no venue attached to it. Forget rules, exhibition, not exhibition, weight. I mean, here's a guy who fought a heavyweight fighting forget all that. These things can get figured out, the fine details. The fact that it was announced, why announce something with no date or location attached to it? What's the point? Unless you're just trying to get people excited and trying to get them, you know, trying to get some investors or something like that.
But maybe also testing the waters. If the response was overwhelmingly positive, maybe you go, okay, we move forward. If the response is muted or negative, maybe you go, okay, we're not going to actually do this. You know, you lob it out there as a way to poll the public, and then make an adjustment.
So you don't think it happens?
I do not think it happens. I just don't think there will be enough interest. I know they have huge name value. There's zero, after the last performance by Mike Tyson against Jake Paul, I don't think there's going to be interest in seeing Mike Tyson do that again.
Terence Crawford doesn't throw shade at Manny Pacquiao, he raises him up. When he speaks of Manny, he speaks of miracles. A man who walked through weight divisions like they were doorways, defeating men larger, stronger, and hungrier, yet never stopping. Crawford says Pacquiao's story is untouchable, something so rare it may never be repeated. Manny fought fights no one dared to take, carried nations on his shoulders, and turned impossible battles into unforgettable victories. To Crawford, Manny isn't just a boxer. He's proof that legends are carved from risk.
Man, a generational, talented fighter. Like, he's accomplished what no other fighter is ever going to accomplish.
For the asterisk, for the whispers are turning into a roar. Crawford versus David Benavidez. Fans are already painting it as fire meeting fire. Benavidez youthful, massive, and merciless. Crawford disciplined, dangerous, and undeniable. If this fight happens, it won't just be a match, it'll be a storm. No contracts yet, but the world is already debating, already dreaming. Because people don't want exhibitions, they don't want gimmicks, they want danger. They want risk. They want warriors who bleed for legacy. And this fight, it could be exactly that.
Shocked the world, not me, but shocked the world. This past Saturday, Mexican Independence Day weekend, what he took on and defeated another first ballot Hall of Famer, but he essentially jumped up 3 weight classes, technically 2, from 154 to 168, but only had 1 fight at 154 last August against Israel Majimov. Terence Crawford defeated Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is a 4-division champion, 2-time undisputed super middleweight, and the reigning, at the time, super middleweight world champion, undisputed world champion. And Terence Crawford beat him handily and convincingly. And because he beat him so easily, now the 63 win, 3 loss, 2 draw, 39 win by way of knockout, biggest threat has been now imposed on Terence Bud Crawford. And that's the Mexican Ecuadorian monster, David Benavidez, who is a 2-division undefeated world champion, is the 2-time WBC super middleweight and reigning WBC light heavyweight, 175-pound champion, who has a record of 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout. He stands 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. This is a fight that David Benavidez has been calling for Canelo Alvarez when he was at 168, and Canelo Alvarez strategically maneuvered around him. But Canelo Alvarez is 5'7", with a 70-inch arm reach, started his career at 147 pounds, made his real name at 154 pounds. He's not a big guy, okay? And styles make fights. Benavidez is 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach. His last fight at 168 against Demetrius Andrade, he rehydrated to 193. So he's a big guy. Canelo Alvarez probably rehydrate to 182, maybe 185 max, right? He's not a big guy, right?
Hackett looked at Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez and spoke with awe. He called Canelo the shark of boxing, dominant, feared, untouchable. But then came Crawford, and he didn't just swim with the shark, he dragged it out of the ocean. That moment, Hackett said, flipped the map of boxing. Crawford became the new predator at the top of the food chain, the man every fighter fears. And the question that remains is chilling. If Crawford dismantled the most feared fighter of his generation, then who is left brave enough to stand in front of him?
Because you got to remember, Canelo is the guy right now in the sport that's supposed to be the man, you know, big bad wolf. You beat him, you the wolf. Now it's like, you know what I mean? Like, all right, who else I'm going to fight? You beat the shark, you beat the wolf. Right. Damn. Like, you know what I mean? Ain't no more ops out there. It's ops out there, but who gonna make them really want to get up? That's the
shit got to make sense. Like you said, you beat a shark, and then you beat a wolf.
Yeah.
But there's the monster.
Yeah, yes, but that's like a real monster.
Bro, that's to me, it don't make sense. But that's
what
what
monster.
Yo, is that proof? All right, we got the legendary Pape in the building. Legend.
Sure, man.
But what makes sense? Like, what makes the most sense? I know you said get a line of suits, Brooks Brothers.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
your line of suits, get your money. Go ahead, get the easy money, bro. You ain't got to sweat no more.
What's up?
Not saying you ain't got to work, you ain't got to sweat.
What's happening?
He's paved a career where he could sit down at a table and get this money. He could come out with a Terence Crawford series now, just doing whatever he like to do. People gonna watch it. Nobody, the fighting part, people don't understand what it's like to be a fighter. A lot of times fighters really don't be interested in certain fights. It's cause when a guy see himself up here and then is fighting a guy down here, it don't interest him. So therefore, when he train, he not gonna really train. He gonna train, but he not gonna train. He not gonna listen. He gonna feel like his coach taking it too serious, and he's like, man, this ain't even that. But your coach like, listen, you could get fucked up. I'm telling you, you don't want to listen. Then you go in there and fight that guy. Then you get. I seen it happen.
Analysts can argue about many things, but not this. Terence Crawford's demolition of Canelo Alvarez wasn't just a fight, it was a declaration. Even before he had silenced critics by crushing Errol Spence. But Canelo? That was the mountain nobody thought he'd climb. Yet Crawford didn't just climb it, he crushed it under his feet. He showed the world that his skill has no boundaries, his adaptability has no ceiling, and his mental toughness has no rival. Now the debate is over. Crawford is not just great, he is historic. The kind of fighter who doesn't just live in an era, he defines one.
Most trained eye, that they know they saw a very high-level athlete perform something at a very high level last night. I think he gained the sports world's attention last night and respect. He already did after Spence, but it went to another level in this fight.
And I think even the fight itself, like just from a median level, but then the moments where they were having these exchanges, like kind of late in the fight, then people were like, all right, it was good. Then like, okay. I saw somebody like, they're squabbing. Like, this is a fight here. So I think it did.
And Crawford closed the show.
Yeah.
In 10, 11, 12, he stood in there and landed some hard shots and rocked Canelo at the bell. He didn't, well, James was talking about the great Floyd Mayweather. Floyd would go up on you 8-0 and then coast, and you might as well turn the fight off at midway through the ninth. Like, you know, he's not going to, but Crawford didn't do that. But he wasn't up 8-0, to be fair to Floyd, and Floyd was when he fought Canelo, so he could do that. But Bud instead steps on the gas. Bud is a finisher. You know, he closes really strong. He closes really strong in every exchange. That's one of his gifts. He's the best counterpuncher of his era, one of the greatest counterpunchers that lived. But the great fighters, James would tell us about this. James and Mike McCallum put on fights that exemplify what I'm talking about: initiating and punctuating, being first, being last. That's one of the things that makes Crawford who he is. So no, I think it was a good enough fight that it certainly didn't hurt boxing.
Yeah, I think sport of boxing delivered last night. I mean, Crawford didn't deliver.
Yeah,
Manny,
did.
Him do inside of the octagon, what we had seen him do to all those great fighters in MMA. When he walked into that ring, people thought he had a chance. He didn't really have a chance. Conor never had a chance against Floyd Mayweather. And it would feel that way with Topuria. But you could at least sell that there's a chance because of how good he is in boxing and how he knocks people out inside the UFC. Initially, I thought Bud Crawford would just no-sell Ilia Topuria, right? When you're the king and everybody's calling your name, you can literally just ignore them and nobody will say anything about it. But Bud Crawford isn't one to ignore stuff.